Hey everyone, welcome to the session. And let me quickly just check it. Yeah, so confirm me that the voice and video quality going fine, and we'll get started very quick today. In the meantime, let me just check. And of course, today we'll be covering. First of all, we'll be covering that how like what are the basic components that need to be installed in any Kubernetes cluster. I mean, we want to set up Kubernetes cluster. So, what are the basics prerequisites you should need? That one. Then hands-on setting up a Kubernetes cluster from zero. So you don't have any Kubernetes knowledge. You don't have any kind of knowledge how to set it up or anything. No worries. I'll be starting from absolute zero. So let's get started. Now, before starting, I hope that you can manage any Ubuntu instance or any kind of Linux instance. For this tutorial, I'll be following up a normal Ubuntu. I think 24 something. But for your use case, you can use any kind of Linux or any instances. Okay. Minimum requirement is minimum 2 CPU and 2 GB. That's it. Other prerequisite. Okay. Now let me quickly start. I hope you guys can see the screen. Let me. Okay. Fine. So yeah, today our main topic again the Kubernetes cluster setup. But before going that, you need to know some very basic concept. Okay. First thing is that Cubelet. I mean, we'll be installing that, so you must know what exactly is Cubelet. But before starting that, let me quickly see who are joining and all. I think that's. I mean, I'm expecting everyone to join first. Okay, looks like everyone joining. And let me quickly open the chat window. So hey, okay, I see everyone joining. Hey Minu, good evening. Hey Subranium, voice is good. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Okay, so I think everyone joining, and whoever joining, just join. It's a recorded session. You'll be like anything you miss, you can of course you can watch it later. And it's very, I mean, I'll go very easy way. So don't worry. Now, first thing is what exactly is a kubelet? I mean, we'll be installing that, so you should know what exactly it is. So kubelet is the primary node agent. So each node, say be it master, be it worker, no matter where it is, I mean, whatever cluster you add to Kubernetes as a cluster as whole, you should be installing at least the kubelet. Otherwise, it's incomplete. So you must have one kubelet. So a kubelet is a primary node agent that runs on each node, and it can register the node with the API server using one of the host name and a flag to override those. If you want, you can of course override or specific logic for the cloud provider. Now, for this session, just understand a kubelet is simple agent. Like if you ever use AWS, you will see a CloudWatch and agent run and like get all the logs kind of thing. Or maybe if you use SSM, like or maybe say Jenkins agent, so you must have used something like that, right? Think that way, just collect and send it to API server. That's what it does. Okay. Now the kubeadmin. Now this is very important because for our setup today, I'll be installing kubeadmin as a main or primary setup tool. Okay, so kubeadmin automate the installation and configuration of Kubernetes components such as API server, controller, manager, kube, DNS. So all of the most of the things getting installed by the kubeadmin. We'll be setting up the basic kubeadmin. That's what we're doing. Okay, and it's a tool to build to provide kubeadmin init and kubeadmin join as the best practice and fast path for creating code. Don't go for technical jargon. Simply, it just install more of the complex stuff for you, so you don't have to install all the complex stuff like EDDC and all that kind of stuff. It install like API server, controller manager, and kubedns, all those things automatically. Okay, and of course our old that kubectl, it's a tool. I mean, for that I think you might not even need any definition. It's a tool that you communicate with the Kubernetes cluster or the Kubernetes API server that you communicate with, like an agent or a client. Like your browser, you check the services, like a postman, you check the APIs. Similarly, it's a client that communicates the Kubernetes cluster. And Kubernetes CNI, it's a interface between the network provider and is used by the container runtimes. And again, you don't have to go to in a complex networking concept at this moment, because I'll be covering the networking for the Kubernetes networking, complex overviews, designing, diagram, all this complicated stuff in later session. So in this session, you don't have to think about overcomplicated stuff. Just focus on setting up a Kubernetes cluster so that you can go to EC2, AWS or any other cloud and simply go there and install everything by yourself. You can do that. So without any like wasting any more time, let's get started. And in our basic step is like this. Okay. So first we'll be setting off a master node. Now, you guys all know already. I mean, previous session, if you didn't join the previous session, I think link in the already in the comment section. You can check on later. Don't not now. So it's the main brain of the cluster. It handles most of the things. It has the API server. It has the EDDC, all the storage. It's the controller node, and like I say, it's main controller node, right? It controls everything else in the cluster. Of course, it manages self also. Now, first thing we'll be installing curl, then we'll be adding the Kubernetes signing key, then we'll be adding the Kubernetes repository, then we'll update the servers, and then we'll install the tools that I just talked about, right? Kubeadmin, Cubelet, kubectl, and Kubernetes CNI. So these are the minimum steps we'll be following right now. And to show the demo, or it's a hand-on session, like as I promised, it will be really hands-on, less jargon and main actual stuff that you wanted. So we'll be using AWS for that. So let me quickly go. And okay, so this is our, I think you guys are familiar with this screen, not the other one. Maybe if you're new to it, I mean, otherwise you must have already used to every single service. So very first thing we should be trying here is the creating a EC2 so that we can install our stuff there. Or we can say the basic EC2 server that is needed, at least 3, right? 1 master node and 2 worker nodes will be, I will say, best setup. For our demo, we can just simply go with 1 master and 1 node also. You guys can suggest, I mean, however you want. But at least 1 worker node should be there and 1 master node should be there. That's the minimum practice. Okay. Now let's go to EC2. And we have like no servers right now. So why not create a server for our use case? Let's go. And let's see, we'll be using Ubuntu 20.04 for LTS. Okay, this one. Let's go and select that. Now you have the options. You can go for cheap, you can go for whatever, but we have to think about the minimum requirement. Now, what is the minimum requirement? It should be 2 CPUs and 2 GB. Now let's see for us what is a good use case. Now Kubernetes, of course, a resource intensive application. I will not deny that part. There are ways to optimize that, but still it requires resources. So for our use case, for the master node, we'll go with the T3 large, okay? Because it has the 2 CPUs and 8 GB RAM and memory. So let's go for that. So T3 large and launch the instance. I think memory has space, everything's enough. We can simply launch it for now. And let's see, I have this particular key. If you don't have a key, you can just select the create new key pair and you can go for that. For us, I mean, I have the key pair, so I will simply use that one. So just existing AWS DevOps, I'll acknowledge and launch instance. And once I do that, it create the instance. And as soon as you have the screen is like instance is pending, it will be soon up. Let's name it master node. Okay. Now save it and give it some second while, I mean, this thing is already up, initializing. In that meantime, why not I check your comments? So hello from Josko Euro, excited to see folks from AL7 and Costco. Hi guys, please share the document. Yeah, this document I will share tomorrow, maybe around 10 to 11 AM, okay? And of course I have a Git repo for all this setup instruction and everything. So I'll be sharing you guys that also. You can just copy paste the codes if you want to. Okay, no worries. I think it's slashing and give it some time. And in the meantime, do you have any questions? Feel free to ask me. Okay, not much question, I guess. But if you have any, feel free to ask. Okay. While it's happening, why not also create the worker nodes also, because we'll be needing that anyway. So let's go for this one. Like Ubuntu, same old Ubuntu. T3 for this worker nodes, I will be using T3 medium. Okay, the minimum one. We cannot. You can go for the T3 small, but it will be sometimes I see problems with T3 small. T3 medium, I didn't see any problem. So that's one of the reason. So let's go launch, and I think all good. Let's launch it, and same old my old key I will be using For you, again, you can use your new key or existing key, whatever you prefer. And as soon as it's up, I will simply go and rename as a worker node. Worker node, okay? So that later on I don't forget. Okay. So yeah, it looks like both are initializing. It takes some time, so it's fine. Yeah, you can have minimum one node or maximum 2, 3, 4. How many one? I think for our use case it will be okay if I just show one master node setup and one worker node setup. Rest of things will be common for all the worker nodes. Okay. I think it's taking too much time. Okay. Okay. So master node is now up. So let's go and connect to the master node. Let me know that if you can see the console command line. Sometime it's become small, so apologize in advance. If you don't see, do let me know in the comments. I will be quickly make that happen. Okay. Vicky asked one question: which method are you using? I'm using normal kubeadmin method. There are multiple ways, of course, using Ansible, using Terraform, using a lot of other ways. But for our use case, it's very simple. Okay. Now, okay, so it's fine. Let me quickly go forward now. So let's connect. Now we are connecting with the master node. Again, if anytime you have any confusion, simply that's why I keep a name for that. Okay, so let's click on connect. See connect. Then you should give a connect here. I mean, you should have a SSH connection command. Now for you, if you're using Windows or maybe other, I think Linux are all same. Windows it will be much different. You can use any SSH client. Okay. Now let's connect with the master instance. Let's say yes. It will take few seconds and it's done. So again, let's go back to our presentation. What will be the first step? First step is to again from 1 to 5. First we will be installing the curl and IP transport HTTPS so that it can communicate over the HTTP and HTTPS. Add Kubernetes signing key, add Kubernetes repository, update the servers, and install kubeadmin, Cubelet, and kubectl. Now I have already copied all those commands in my editor so that it will be easy for me to go through. Otherwise, every time copy will be too much time, right? So that's why I copied. And it will save your time also. I mean, I don't want you to wait for many hours to just show the demo. First step is done. Now let's go to the next one. We are adding the apt key. Done. Then we are adding the repository. I think both should be all together. Let's do that. And it's done. Now update it. Update all the resources definitions in that as a repo definition you can also say, and it takes few seconds. It's fine. I think that's also done really fast. Then what you should be doing, you should be installing. So first, I mean, we're installing Cubelet, kubeadmin, kubectl, and Kubernetes. I think I already explained that, but if you're joining right now, you can always later on you can watch that one. Okay. So let's install these tips and here we go. It will take, I will say, few seconds, maybe 1 minute. So it's fine. By the way, yes, it's for our learning purpose. We are doing all that manually. But in real life, what happens? You use the Kubernetes, you use this Terraform, or let's say maybe you use Ansible for doing all the setup. You don't normally manually do these stuffs, but it's good to know how the things works. I mean, that's always a plus, right? Because you know the basics, like 90% of it. Advanced are maybe the other stuffs, because people, if they don't know the basics itself. That's the point. Now we're done with that. Now, yeah, the next step again. Let me go to the audience window. Now we are done with installing this part, right? Now the next thing we should do is that disable the swap memory, then set up a unique hostname. Yeah, one thing is that each nodes in a Kubernetes cluster must have unique hostname, and it's a mandatory rule that we have to follow. Always remember that. Then we will enable the bridge traffic, so in IP tables, so that it will listen, like it will track all the communications. We'll install the Docker. Now you can use Kio, you can use Container D or any supported container engine by Kubernetes. But we are age old, we used to Docker, so we'll go with the Docker. And then after all that, we will simply initialize our Kubernetes cluster. We will simply initialize our Kubernetes master cluster. So that's the basic stuff. So let's go back to our coding part. Let me go here. So we are done until this, right? Installing the basic components. Now let's disable the swap, because it's required for Kubernetes to disable the swap memory before any node setup. So, and sometime even if you disable from the command line in this current state, if you restart in the boot script, might be it's already added. So let's see that even if bootstrap or in system init is not there, right? So it's good. If it's not there, it's fine. I mean, you don't have to worry. Then let's set, set this host name. Right now, what is the host name? If you enter host name, it will show the host name. So right now its host name is IP something like this, okay? But do you want to make this host name a unique and manageable one? So we are making the host name as kube master. So you're running sudo hostname control set hostname kube master. So if you do that, you'll see the host name will become kube master. Okay. Now we're done with that. Let me clean up the command screen. I know it's cluttered. Now next thing is to we should enable the neglifier, and we're enabling the IP table to track all the traffics that you're doing. So let's do that. We'll first forcefully reload the module, and then we'll allow. Now let's do that. It's done. So we enable the bridge traffic. Now what is the bridge traffic and all that, I will explain in the networking session, not in this session, otherwise it will become too huge. So I have limited time, right? Now we are done with that, and I think after that, let's see. Yeah, let's set up the Docker part. I mean, that's the next important, right? So done with the basic setup. Now let's set up the container engine. We are just setting up the Docker. We just updated the dependencies. You can say the repo list. Now let's add the APT key, the certificates. It will take few seconds. Let me just quickly go through this. Now let's add the APT key. Now this is the steps to install Docker. You can use any steps how you normally do. I just like this way. And yes, one more important stuff that you have to run using the systemd, not using normal way, okay? Because otherwise, sometime in the Kubernetes you will see a lot of problems. So you must must run using the systemd, okay? I think we just run the 64 daemon pad, okay? Now let's again update the repo list. Done. Now let's install the Docker. Okay, it will take few seconds. In the meantime, let me see your comments and all. I always want to see. Okay. So Vicky asking that explain the Kubernetes architecture. In my previous session, I have already explained. I think 1.5 hour session it was, and explained greater depth. So you must go and check that out. In the comments also you might see that, but not now. After this session is done with the Kubernetes basic setup, then you can do. Okay. So I think that's also done. So now what's next? Yeah, let's create the required directories, and let's save this daemon JSON. Done. Now this step is actually we're doing that we are reloading Docker, so it will have the required changes, and we are restarting Docker and enabling Docker. Just to this part is just to double confirm. Okay. Now let's do that. You can run all command together. Okay, done. Now you can run one command and check sudo service docker status. Okay, you can see the status running. Let's close it. Now we are done with all the setups or all the commands to run required to all the prerequisite that is required to set up a Kubernetes cluster. Now next stuff is to have this one, this init part. Okay, so we will do that. So let's init that, and this will give us a join command. I will show. So let's just do that. It will take few seconds. Sometimes it takes minutes, pre-flight check and all. And I will ask you guys to be patient while that happens. This is what it is. If you have like bigger resources, it might be sometime quick. If you have bigger server like 8 GB or or maybe say 16 GB, like those kind of bigger things. But yeah, I think it's happening pretty fast. My MacBook, it was very less time. It is only I think 60, maybe less than that, less than 6 seconds, because it has the latest one. Okay, so we got our final join command, and now we'll run this command in our worker nodes. Okay, and worker node will join to the master node if we run this part in the worker nodes. But before that, there are few steps. First one out of which is to create the required config directory, and we'll be using that as a normal user. We will not run as a sudo or anything. Okay, so let's a normal user. Let's run it, and that's it. It created a directory in our home directory. Inside a home directory, it creates the kube config. I think that's a pretty basic requirement that Kubernetes have. I will explain in greater details in I think when I explain about the configuration, configuration passing and all this kind of concept, then I will explain. In this cluster setup, that might not be necessary at this moment. Okay. I think that's one stuff. Now, what is the next one? Let's go to our PDF, so we can relate to that in that way. Okay, so we have like done this part, right? Now I think we done this to the master nodes. We already done with that. Yeah. Now let's create Kubernetes config. Like we already created the config directory. Now set up a pod network. Now, as I said, the networking part, it requires a dedicated session, and I will do that. But just to understand, Kubernetes, use default port 6443, and we're creating Kubernetes pod network so that you can communicate with the services and the pods. Now just understand that just for the communication part, we are setting that up. All this complex concept about networking and all that, I'll be explaining very greater depth later session. So let's run this command and make the communication or the networking ready. So we'll run these two commands. This will just allow the port 6443 in our IP tables. So let's do that. And I hope you guys can see the stream. If not, do let me know. Okay, it's fine. Now we are using Flannel, but you can use Fluentd and a lot of other Triagra, Calico. I think all the stuffs are there. You can go use that. Again, I will explain in very greater depth all the tools and everything. So don't worry. Just go on with that right now. Let's do that. It's done. And role-based access control. Let's apply that. It will be again done. Now let's check the namespaces. This is just to see that our the pods we just in pods and other components that we have installed that are working or not, or we are deployed is working or not. It's two pending. We can run on watch mode. So when it's get ready pretty fast. So it's good. So we have our things ready here. Now what is that? I think that's we are done. Yeah, we can check the health also. So it's one good commands there. So you can run kubectl get component started, or you can CS. That's a short form. If you do that, it will show you the cluster status. See health, like all are okay, no error. That means we are all good to go and add the worker nodes or do anything here. So you're ready. That's fine. So we are done with our master node setup. Now one thing is that I lost my that join command, right? I'll be coming there how to gain or how to get the join command again if you lost for any reason. I'll come to that later. But now our next stuff is to set up the worker node because that's required. As a reason, you should have one master node and one worker node. That's the minimum basic rule if you want to have a Kubernetes cluster. So we'll be doing that. Now let's go back to our site, AWS, and see this is our worker node. So let's go there. And let's do one thing. Let's connect with the worker node. Let's connect. It's a master node, right? So let's have another terminal. Maybe not. That's okay. We have another terminal. And again, I'm making that big for you guys, so you see that properly. And again, let me refer you to the document itself. So we're done with the master node setup. Now the worker node. step 1 to 14 up until that container runtime setup will be same exact steps. Okay, every single thing will be same. All the components like we have in other nodes we'll have in the worker node also. Like every single thing will be same. Only one difference that you will be connecting the worker node to the master node. Okay, that's the only difference. And let me go back. Let me show you. So from this step to step number 14, that is this install the Docker runtime. That will be the common step. And after that you can run the join command. So I have the commands ready again. So let me show you the worker command. Again, we will be running the exact same thing. I know it's boring to you guys to watch, but please follow along. I'll run one by one. Okay, that's done. Then add the IPD key. Now it's a worker node. Always remember. Done. Let's add the Kubernetes list. I could have made a shell script and do that, but I think it's okay for the demo part. I want to. It's okay. Just show you that. Again, it will be good reminding kind of thing, and doesn't take much time. I think. So okay, it's installing, and we will install all the basic Cubelet, kubeadmin, and kubectl, and that Kubernetes CNI. So yes, let's do that. Run also. It will be installed pretty quick. Let's disable the swap memory, if any. I mean, not that by default it's turned on. Sometime for few OS it's default turn on. So for those cases only, you have to be very careful to turn off the swap memory. Okay. Few seconds more. And let's see if any comments or not. I'll be answering that. I know. Okay, I need master Docker file. Can you help? That Docker file. I think maybe you're asking for the Docker commands. It will be there. So don't worry. I'll share everything. It's weak. I don't know. There's some conversation going on. Plain architecture. I think that's fine. So yeah, any question, feel free to ask. Just watch the session, hands-on and all. I will suggest that after I'm done, you can go ahead and you can try it out, understand, because the thing you learn by trying, you cannot learn in the book or anywhere else. Okay, hands-on is the best. So okay, so let's disable the sub memory and just confirm. It's not required to be honest, but I'm just checking. It's a good practice I have. Now host name should be worker1 because the master I have given master cube master, so I'm giving worker1. Always remember it has to be different, otherwise it's not gonna work. So I'm warning you guys. One student actually I given assignment few months back and he got stuck in this step. He giving same name, it doesn't work. Then I asked, I asked him that I mean why are you again giving the same name to all worker nodes? It's not gonna work. Then he understand and he didn't do that part again. I mean he makes sure always unique that name. Okay, now yes, I think that's done. Now do the Docker setup. Again, I think it will be fast, not take much time. Just give it some time and you will be done. Now again this one, let's add the repository. And we will update the repo list, package list. Done. Now we are installing the Docker. So up to this step it's common. I mean up to the runtime installation it will be all common. And I have actually example for the container D. I have example for cryo. That also you can go for. I mean if you want to use this, you can simply go forward. So let's come back to our this set of installation steps. It will be done in a few seconds. Just wait. And done. So we have done the installation. Now again, as is a very recommended step to use the systemd to run the Docker. So we'll do that. And just have the daemon ready. It's done. And yeah, reloading part. I think last time also you saw that. So yeah, worker node is set up. Now is the part where I want to connect this worker node with the master node. Okay, but I lost the master node command and I lost the connection also. Okay, let's connect back. and it's connected. Okay, so just confirm always, don't make mistake. Check the host name. That's I think one of the reason we use the custom host name for that. Now I don't have that command, so I can just simply get the commands. So I have the command save in the notes. So in case if you miss the join command, you refresh the screen, whatever the reason, you can create the token, okay, and you can print the join command also, so that we can use that one to connect. And let's run this, and you'll see we got the join command. Now the problem now we'll see that if we try to join, it might not work. The reason I'm saying, because I didn't use the same security group. It's now it's a cloud part, okay, it's not of the Kubernetes cloud part, but in the cloud two are different instances, and I didn't maybe you can say I forgot to have this common security group. So what I will do, in the master security group, I will enable the port 6443, because that's the default Docker port and where the worker node is connecting to. So I will go to our AWS. Let's go there, and I will go to my master node, and there go to the security. Then I will go to the security group, and I will add inbound rule. So of course you can do another stuff like enable all the TCP connection from the worker node. That also you can do, but I think this is okay for demo part. When I show the production cluster setup and all that in the, so you can say the end of the series, then I will show that. So anyway, before not, yeah, it's fine for demo. It's completely fine. It's the port 6443. Done. Save the rules. Now if I run the join command from the worker node, it will work. I just wanted to clear it, guys, so that you don't make the mistake. It's okay. You can make a mistake and learn from that also. And let's see what's the problem. Executioner, if user is okay. Yeah, you have to run in the sudo mode. That I forgot. So yeah, say it's done. It will take few seconds, and then it will connect with the yeah, it's done probably. It will take some time for the worker node to get ready. You can see it's not ready. This is the worker node. You can see here it's not ready yet, so it will take some time to get ready. We can just check. Run in watch mode and wait for it. Okay, whenever I run the watch mode, is become ready before that. It's good. So we're done with the setup that we have set up. Like this is how is. I think it took me half an hour. So you can also take half an hour or maybe say 1 hour if you're running for the first time, and you can set up the worker node, and you can set up the master node and worker node. Now I thought I will go through all this, very specific, what you can say, the YML, classification, each and every statement why you're using YML. But then thought, no, let's not mix up the Kubernetes cluster with the YML explanation part. So I will not be covering today. Instead, I will be just running a one sample EngineX application. I mean, not application, like running a simple EngineX application in a pod, so that you can get an idea, like without even YML, like custom YML files also you can run it. So that part I will show. But again, guys, next week my main motive will be to have the deployment. Like we'll cover pods, deployment, the scaling. I will try to at least to have the horizontal pod scaling part covered, and I will explain the health check, the entire YML architect, the setup, and how things works and all that. So because I wanted to cover cluster setup first, so that you can have something to try on. Otherwise, you guys will see and never try it out. So yeah, now we are done with the worker node setup. So you can again check. This is done. Let's go to our PDF, what I'm referring to. So it's done. We're done with the worker node setup. So let's run a simple Nginx app. Now to run a simple Nginx app, what we'll do, we'll create a deployment, pretty simple Nginx deployment. You can see, right? CubeCD will create deployment Nginx, and it will get the image from the Docker Hub and it will run it automatically configured by default settings, and we'll do that. And then we'll make the Nginx accessible so that in network you can access it. I'll show how to do that. And we'll get the service. So we'll get the port, port is referring on running on, and we'll try to access that port. and verify it's running or not by doing a curl command. So that's what we'll do, and we'll go right now. So there is a nginx setup steps. So you can it's very basic, or you can say very easiest application you can run, just to hands on and try out that part. In production, it's kind not just kind of, it's entirely different beast. Then that I will show in my next session. Okay. So let's go to our master nodes and let's go there and let's create an nginx deployment. Nginx created. Let's see kubectl get deployment, and you can run on watch mode to see is ready. It's pretty fast again. Then what we'll do, if you want to see more details about that nginx deployment, you can run kubectl describe deployment nginx like this, and you can see what is the configuration is running on. Okay, you can see labels, app nginx, annotation, Kubernetes IO version 1, selected app nginx, like this. Okay. Now, don't overcomplicate your mind. I'm not going to explain that today. I told you that I will explain in the next week session, so that we can focus only on this, not on the cluster setup. This is just to see that our cluster is up and running, and we can run our workload in this particular cluster. For that reason only I'm running it. So yeah, now let's make that our application accessible, so that we can interact with the application and via the service. And we are using port 80. So but yeah, it will generate a random port number. We'll be using that one, and we can run kubectl get svc a service, and you'll see it's running on node port this one. Okay, it's 80, and this is the port where actually the worker node is running. So let's go to worker node. Let's see everything is running. Okay, fine. Now if you want to access this one in a worker node, because it's running in the one worker node only, right? So we can run via localhost than this particular port. So let's do that. Curl localhost and then this particular port. If you try to access, we should be able to see the nginx yeah. This is our nginx document, right? If you go in the browser and normally you see the nginx view, this is what it is like. Welcome to nginx and all that. So yeah, this is stuff what you can do. Now suppose you want to remove the nginx part, we can simply go and run this particular nginx kubectl delete nginx deployment nginx part, and it will remove that. Do simply in the master. Yeah, in the master. So you can see here also ubuntu kube master is nginx deleted. Now if we try and try to do that, it will request timeout is failed to connect because we have removed it, right? So this is how pretty easy it is to set up a master node and worker node and try out different kind of stuff, just like I did. I used to play with the lot of time that Grafana, Prometheus, and other stuffs. I do like a lot of workload or application for my clients on Kubernetes, but I don't. I think it's a long time. Maybe years later, I'm setting up using like that. All the time I do set up, I use either Ansible based on the client requirement or my preference. I prefer these days at least the that Terraform way, because that's easier to manage and all. Sometime client have don't have the resources on say Terraform. They have maybe resources on the Ansible. So I simply go that way and using Ansible to set up. That's also pretty easy, not that complicated. So yeah, we go that way. Okay, so we have our clusters, we have our application sample on running. You can run any application in specific using any configuration that you want to run. But yeah, this is our pretty basic Kubernetes cluster with one master, one worker. But it's ideal to have at least 2 worker nodes, because again it's the same repeated step for the worker node. I didn't show another one, but it's fine. You understand how it works, right? So I think that's done. So yeah, I think we are done pretty quickly this week session. Okay, so let's see any comments. Do you need to memorize all the comments? Actually, no. You don't. You never have to memorize any commands. You should keep a reference in some doc like I do. I usually, like you saw, right? I have this particular. Let me just show you. So I have here in the repository all the command setup. I use G's sometime to store all the commands there. So whenever I need it, I'll just copy from there and I will utilize that. That way I don't have to do, and who the hell remember all those commands? I don't usually see is the recruiter who know nothing about the setup, who know nothing about that. Says Letta Marke, they come, they ask the commands. But in the real life, it doesn't matter to know the commands. You should know that joining part, the in case if you see any problem, the troubleshooting part, those you should keep a note. And like of course other commands, the main part will be that the troubleshooting parts, the try out facing error and then solving by different articles, you get the knowledge. Those are most important than some commands for installation and all. You can find in any site, right? So don't just remind and memorize all the single command. Remember the problem you face and keep a note of that, because you will forget. I also forget a lot of stuff. I simply keep a note of that so that I can remember and I will get that from there and run it. Okay, so always don't become a memory card, become processor, logical processor. Process everything logically. And let me see any particular command. A lot of commands is there. We'll go one by one. I'll go from top. Okay, there's a lot of messages. Let me see. Hello from excited to phone Elsevier. Okay. What do you teach how to set up 3-tier architect in Kubernetes? Yeah, I have planned to even show more complicated Kubernetes setup also, like not just private to public, public to private, cloud to instance based, a lot of those kind of use cases I always wanted to cover. But you may say that I wanted to cover basic AWS stuff first. That's why I started with the basic AWS. Then I'm going towards, like, I covered Terraform, Ansible and all the stuff. Then I'm coming. So yeah, since I came to Kubernetes, and I have very good plan to cover most of the real life stuff in the Kubernetes. Starting from basics, I am assuming you don't know anything about Kubernetes. I'm starting from that point because I want all kind of audience to learn Kubernetes and try it out, okay, in the real life. So that's the reason. Nothing else. But yeah, I will cover 3-tier application, not just 3-tier. I will show even more complicated application architecture. Okay. It's that Shanmukh saying, can you maintain masternode and worker node in the same? No. See what I say. You can virtually do that. Of course, if I say no, that will be the wrong stuff. You can, but you should not. You should not. Why? Again, resource consumption will be going. If any reason masternode crashes, then worker node will also crash. You don't want the masternode communication to be open to public. You might want to keep only to yourself. So those are the things that you should be keep in mind. Security and other stuffs. Okay. So yeah, in general, no one do that. You can utilize extreme virtualization to do that. The main stuff is that the host name should not be same. So in a single host, usual cases you cannot do that unless you apply complex virtualization and all. Okay. So let's see. And for CD, Argo CD, yeah, I do have a plan for the Argo CD part. I will cover that. Okay, don't worry. Let's go one by one. First, the basic Kubernetes 101, then this basic cluster setup, then the pods, deployment, scaling, and all that. Right? Then we'll slowly go there also. CICD part. By using K8s, can you monitor deploy container but can't container? Is it correct? Let me just try to understand. Okay, using K8s you can monitor and deploy container, but you cannot create container. I mean, that is what Kubernetes is doing, right? So Kubernetes is giving instructions to the proxy and all other tools to that, and worker nodes. That proxy and controller checking that is happening. It makes sure inside the pod there is a container running if you give the definition correctly. So yeah, Kubernetes running the container, right? So it's creating the container, of course doing different propagation that different tools it is doing, but every single component part of the main Kubernetes cluster, right? So ultimately Kubernetes is creating the container. Yes, it's using the container engine to create the container. Now, container engine could be Docker, could be Cryo, could be any other separate Docker engine. But itself, Kubernetes is only doing that stuff, right? And I think another part, yeah. So I think that's done. Launch from boosters, not audible. Am I not audible? But I thought that I'm audible. I don't know, guys. Do let me know if not audible. Next time onwards, I will use different mic. I have using this good mic, by the way. This is not the one I use my home, but it's not the bad quality as well. Uh, Generally, worker nodes are big size. We have exactly mass. Yes, that's what happens sometimes. Um, General cases work like master nodes because it's not handling much of workload. But I would say bigger or enterprise clusters, master node also not that small. Sometimes it's also it will be not the biggest one, but good resources. Okay, and yeah, worker nodes have the bigger resources because it ultimately runs the all the workloads. Okay. Um, okay. Okay. One thing is that Wiki is saying Kubernetes for actually people do in the clusters also if they want to maintain the bare metal, right? I think Zia is doing Wiki. We can use Kubernetes for the cloud server as well if we are managing the cluster. Yes, that's right. Do videos on the GitLab, CICD, Python. I'll think of that. Mm. Um, so it's Kalyan Raman saying that are you going to show doing through Terraform Ansible in the yeah. So I do have the script and all the content ready for showing via the Ansible as well as the Terraform. So I will definitely show. I will think of when that should happen. Maybe it's an entire separate video after the basics are done. Then I can show. I will think, and I'll decide when to show. Sir, why you don't use the GCP free tier? Because I have AWS credits. I'm like AWS zero, right? So AWS give me credits, so I can run and utilize the credits, right? Yeah, it is a. Why does it matter? I think that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. Yeah, that's true. One stuff they are saying Wiki, you can use cloud load balancer for this. Launch the server with the complete auto scaling. Yeah. Okay, I will not go there. I need Docker. I will share that one. You're turning. Yeah, it's actually Docker requirement for the kubeadmin other tools to disable the swap memory. That's what you're doing. Do we need to memorize again? It's not. Network part I will cover later on in very greater details. That's why I'm not covering in this session. Just mainly setup cloud like installation part, setup stuff. That's what. Okay. Now, what is the next part? Is that how can we deployment theta architecture in K8s? I will show not in this session, but I will definitely cover that. It's Meenu saying Sandeep in real time. What is the ideal instance type and how much instances or a pod it's going? Now, ideal size depends on what is the workload you want to run. Are you want to run some machine learning? Of course, size will be M level, C level, or P level even. Suppose you want to run smaller web workload, then M large or MX X large kind of instances will be enough. Suppose you want to run very CPU intensive application, then C or I will say P level instances. So based on the usage and what you are supposed to do with the instances or what kind of workload you want to run, based on that you choose your instance type. Okay, and that's common for all people. Like I think for Hotstart, those guys Gaurav was explaining in some sessions and all. Like he used the bare metal bigger instances. So yeah, based on the workload you decide. Another question: how do we set up the Terraform Ansible? I have the script ready. Don't worry, I'm gonna cover in upcoming session. Okay. How can we set up 3 tiers? I think same question. SD, can you please hear the step? Yeah, all the steps I will share tomorrow. Maybe not tomorrow. It's already 8:19, so I think by 8:30 I'll be done. And 8:30 also I can share the link in the LinkedIn, the video link and this PDF link so that you can guys refer. Okay. Let's see. Joe saying when is recommended to balance the master node similar to worker node? That's a very good question. I don't know how many guys understand, but sometimes what happens. You want to do the disaster recovery, something for any reason, master node going down. You cannot communicate with other worker nodes, right? That's a disaster situation. Of course, everything will fail. The entire cluster will fail, right? Like brain dead, the people is dead, right? So for that reason, for disaster recovery parts, of course, and sometimes to maintain the performance, if there are a lot of engineers or a lot of operation going on the master node, then also you might need to have multiple master node. There are could be many reasons. I will say mainly the disaster recovery part is a main concern for people. What's the difference between the Ansible, Docker, Kubernetes? Ansible is the configuration manager or configuration automator. You want something to be installed in any cloud, say nginx, say Kubernetes, kubeadmin, kubectl, all those commands, or say any service in a particular server. You are doing that, like I want this software to be installed in that server. I want the state to be present, or I want the service to be restarted or enabled. Like whatever the state you want for a service, you can configure that by the Ansible. So configuration is a configuration management. Docker is the container management, right? Container runtime management or container service, where you are running your images or customized or any kind of Docker images or container images you are running inside using it like Docker in Docker container. Kubernetes manages all the Docker container or any kind of container system that's supported by Docker. It supports and orchestrates. It manages their networking, manages their life cycle, manages their intercommunication, all that. So Kubernetes is the manager of the container. Like could be Docker, it could be other services like Cryo or Containerd, kind of that. Okay. It's a good question, by the way. Also, when is recommended to use cloud provider solution like EKS, AKS, GK? When you don't want the headache to manage the master node, like I said, the disaster recovery, managing the right size for that, all that, right? Lot of things. Like you don't want something to be down. You want something to be managed, more of the control by the cloud supervisors, where you have the best practices for the master node getting followed. Like I think EKS, AKS, GK both provide I think three main master node, and then you can add normal instances of the worker node. So that way it provide you very good guarantee that your master node will not fail or will not get crashed. So that's the reason for just the solution that you want, managed solution. You don't want to manage manually. Okay. Thank you for the session, Sandip. I think that's pretty much it, and I'm glad that it's completed very fast. I was thinking maybe it will take time, a lot of time, but it completed very fast. So you guys, next week, what we'll go through how to set up pods, how to set up the like network. I'm not say networking. I will have dedicated one. Set up pods, deployment, scaling. I will go very great depth. Okay, you can say I will just 30 minutes talk about the YML file reading only, dedicated, guarantee. Okay, so don't worry on that. Let's see what is the next question. So Muhammad Ali saying, what is the imperative declarative approach in Kubernetes? It can go very long, man. I will explain. I think not on that in the differentiation when I explain the stateful, stateless, and all those kind of concepts. For then I will explain. Okay. Jose, thank you for attending the session. So guys, thanks everyone for joining the session. I know it's a kind of boring to see everything and not trying out. So I will say do try out everything that you have just learned. I will share the document right now. It's already I think it's approaching 8:30. 8:30. I will simply share this video along with say document and everything in the LinkedIn, so you guys can refer from that. I hope you guys already connected with LinkedIn. Like my main traffic come from there only. I know. So thank you guys, everyone. Bye. Happy working day from tomorrow. So enjoy today with family and friends. Okay. Bye.